Hello, this is Mr. McMurray. We're going audio only today, so I could be in my pajamas or I could be picking my nose. You don't know. No distractions. We'll try this. We'll see how it works. All right, so today we're at the Pivot Lab, Radioactive Decay and Half-Life. Okay, this is a pretty good one, but it also has a little more to it, so we're going to get into that. All right, so first let's go here and actually look at the lab. That's from the access page. All right, and we want to actually look at the lab. Sorry, it did reset for me. All right, so starting off, we're going to graph radioactive decay. Okay, remember decay can be either beta particles or gamma particles. All right, and basically, we're going to have a setup here, video, just like a lot of the others. And on the video, they're going to, as time goes on, they're going to put a little radioactive source here. They're going to put the little detector over it, and then they're going to count the number of counts per 13 seconds and just the total number of counts at any given time. Okay, the only tool up here I believe that you'll need is the clock, and basically it is pretty much set for you, so you will start frame 0 minutes. That's a good place to start. You won't have to reset it or anything like that, like you do sometimes. Okay, so as you play it, it's going to ask you to do ask you some questions about what's happening here, based on the picture, give you a picture, and tell you what is given off. You can do that just by looking at those pictures. That's pretty straightforward. And then you have some questions here to answer what you're measuring, what units are you measuring, which we just talked about, and then it wants you to go to 3 minutes and write how many counts there are, or the total counts at that time. All right, now you can use the little slidey bar. Here's the best way. You can try to get it exactly on, but usually once you get it within 10, like 2.9 something or 3.0 something, then you're better off just using the little back arrow to get it exactly on 3 minutes. Okay, and then you can write down that amount. Will that be the same for yours? I don't know. Sometimes they give you different options, so I would definitely check it out on yours. Don't just write that number down. All right. Now you're going to collect data, and what they're going to want to do for every minute, you can play it, pause it every minute, and record the time. What you can just put, turns out if you just put, start that at 0, 0, 0, and at 1 minute you put 1 here. If you put a 1 here, guess what? It automatically puts the seconds there. So that's probably the easiest way. And just for the record, I would go down and do all 17 of them because there are 17 minutes. Yes, 17. Sorry about that, but that's the way it works. Okay. Then for each one of them, you will put the answer when you look it up over here. Now, I would highly recommend that you get a piece of paper and number 1 through 17 and write it down on the piece of paper. That way, if something happens to your computer or it gets closed but not saved somehow or something like that, you can always go back and re-enter the information using the information on your paper. I say this from experience, so if you want to learn from my experience, then I would recommend that you put it on paper. But anyhow, once you get it all entered into the chart here, all right, I will go ahead and go down to minute number 3 here and hit the return. It's 180 seconds, and then it would be, for me anyhow, it's 15 3 4 6. Okay, I'll put that number in there. Boom, it's there. Okay, now once you get all these numbers in down to 17 minutes, all right, it will also, by the way, I believe this goes to a little over 17 minutes. Okay, 17.65. You'll want to write that number down too. Okay, now once again, your numbers may be different than the ones on here because they have different, sometimes they'll say high, low concentration, whatever over here. So okay, you may get a different one, but go ahead and write that final number down also. Once you've done 1 through 17, also write down that final number, and you may want to just do all those and then type them in once you get done with that. That's up to you. All right, then to get the graph, here's very important. To click on the graph, you click on the vertical axis, and it says you're going to choose total count. All right, there is another one over here down here. Make sure you just do one of them, and that's good. All right, and it says total counts or counts, then you click done, and boom, that's on that side. Okay, the horizontal axis you're going to click on, and I believe it says time in seconds is what they recommend. You could do time in minutes, but let's go with seconds. That'll be more precise later on, and click done on that. Now, that will hopefully graph all yours. I only have this one graph at 3 minutes. Okay, but notice once again, you can slide your little cursor there, crosshairs, and it will tell you the number for that particular number of minutes, as well as it's 180 seconds, and then it's 15,346,000 counts at that time. Okay. Anyhow, so that's there. Then they're going to ask you to identify the shape of your graph. Is it more like this, where it's more kind of S-shaped? Is it a square root graph, or like that? Is it straight like that? Or is it where exponential but inverse, rather than going like this or climbing up? It's going to be like this. And they're going to ask which one of those does it look more like. Okay, so you will have to look at that once you see your graph. That'll be pretty easy. All right, then they want to know the very number count at the very end. That number will be important. Okay, I'm going to in fact type mine in right now because it's 29,311 for me. Okay, I'm going to submit that answer, and yes, that is right, at least for my experiment, but it may be different for yours. Okay, okay, then you're going to release the number after 1 minute and so forth. I'm actually going to go do that one real quick because it will affect my answer on this. All right, now we have resume time. We stop time there for a minute. I'm at 1, okay? So I'm going to put 5,954. All right, for the number of counts, I'm going to submit that answer. And yes, guess what? I did that right. All right, so proud. Okay, now it'll take those numbers and put them down here for me, which is what's kind of handy about that. So that's why I knew I needed to ask those. The first thing we want to do is say how much of the amount is left after 1 minute. We know how much total counts there were in this sample. And so basically, we take the total counts and subtract this, then we will do that. So first, always start off with our total number. We know the total number, whoops, by the end of the thing. We put that up here. Okay, and then we just put counts because that's our units, how many counts were there. And then we put the number there were after 1. We know how many of them we've used up. And if we calculate that, sorry, I did that wrong. Total counts, that'll tell how many are left after 1 minute because we've used up that many of them. And these, of course, will be counts. All right, so if we do that, then we submit that, and it will tell us, yes, that is correct. It will not tell you the correct answer, okay? So it will tell you you need to calculate it. So you might also want to have a calculator handy. I have one down here on my bottom that's pretty handy. And then you will actually do this formula. All right, so I would type in my 29,311 minus 59,54, which will tell me the left is 23,357. All right, so 23,357. I believe you do not need to put in decimals just for the record. It will, or things that will do that for you. Okay, now, then, that's the first thing. The second thing is to find the percent. So, you know the amount left, which we just calculated by subtracting those. We're going to take that, divide it by the total amount, which is going to give us less than 1, a number less than 1, give us a decimal. All right, but we want it as a percent, so we're going to multiply times 100, and that will give us the percent that is left. Okay, now these two formulas will be useful because later you're going to put these on your chart, okay, but just keep that in mind. Okay, then you're going to actually calculate your answer right here, and I generally rounded my answers off to 1 decimal place, and that worked well. Okay, so you would divide these two times 100, whatever your numbers are, and then you would put that percent right there. Okay, now just for the record, you're going to come to a chart down here for the next part. Okay, I believe you can do this. If you click on the isotope remaining and click on the 3 dots over here, you can change the column formula. Okay, and the isotope remaining, okay, is where you take your total number, which in my case was 29,311, minus the total count. Okay, and it will do that for 0, which you end up getting the same thing. This is just times 10 to the 4, so this is really 29,311. Okay, and it will do that, but it'll do this if it'll put your total count in here that you entered earlier, and it will subtract them all for you, so you don't have to do each of those by yourself. You can just, it will do it automatically for you. Okay, and then you submit that, and it will do it. All right. Percent isotope remaining, you can do the same thing. The column formula, you will click on isotope remaining slash, which means divided by your total number, and then times 100. And if you submit that, then it will calculate all those. After 0 minutes, guess what? It's all still there. None of it's gone away yet. All right. Okay. Now it will go ahead and calculate all these others for you, but I'm going to do that because in case you get the high concentration like I do. If you have the same high concentration I did, it will give you all the answers. I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to do that. Okay. Now it's going to give you a graph and give you a close-up of it. It's going to tell you to go on it and estimate exactly how many time in minutes it would be. Try to get as close as you can. It gives you a little leeway. Then they give you a close-up of your particular thing, and you would go to 50%, see where it crosses the line, come down here and read this. In this case, this is 150, that's 200 seconds, so this would be 60, 70, 80, 90, so 160, 170, 180, 190, and then 200 and so forth. So if they wanted to know after one half-life, you would go to 50. After two half-lives, you go to 25 because half of 50 is 25, and you would go over here, see where it crosses, and go down and read that information. Okay? All right. So then there's just some questions there about that, calculate how long it would take and stuff. You should be able to do that once you have the chart. And then there's a few practices down here just saying if you have a certain amount of it, after 30 minutes, how much will it be? After an hour, how much would it be? Keep in mind, in this case, it says there's a half-life of 30 minutes. So every 30 minutes, there'll be half as much as there was before. Okay. And that should be pretty straightforward. And looks like we'll give you a lot of submissions for that and so forth. So and then there's a few more. There's a little bit section at the bottom where it talks about nuclear power and energy, and it gives you explains a little bit what happens, shows you a little bit what happens when the fuel rods, the nuclear reactor core, the steam that comes out turns a turbine, generates electricity, cooling towers where some of the water is allowed to go out. Well, it cools off, but it gives off its heat to form steam, and the steam goes out top. But notice that the water that's in the nuclear power plant does not get to go out. It just keeps getting circulated back and back and back again. Okay, so it's not allowed to actually leave the things. Otherwise, it might give off radioactivity, and that would be a bad thing. Okay, they ask you a few questions about that. They want to know where the uranium's at, et cetera, and then you are done. All right. Hopefully that will go well for you. Let me know if you have an issue and I need to, if I can help you out. But it takes a little while, but it's not too onerous. Anyhow, difficult. I think it'll be all right. And like I said, let me know if you have issues, and I see if I can help you out. Enjoy.